Welcome to the Purpose Focused Advisor. This show is for financial advisors who want to grow their business with clarity, lead with purpose, and build a life that reflects what matters most.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Purpose Focused Advisor. Rob Brown here. Today I want to talk about a hidden trap that high-performing advisors don't see coming. It's the moment when you've built the business that you've thought you dreamed of. You've got the team. You've created space in your calendar to work on bigger projects, to look towards the future. And yet, instead of feeling free, you feel unsettled. You don't know which way to turn. Some people call this, what do I do with my CEO time or my leadership time? But whatever you call it, the truth is that space often feels like a void, and that can be frustrating. That can lead to meddling in parts of your business that you don't need to meddle in, or to work on bright, shiny objects that really aren't going to take you to a new level of success. But here's the good news. That feeling isn't a sign that you're stuck. It's a signal that you're standing on the edge of a new phase of vision, what I call Vision 3. And I'm going to dig into that in a minute. Let me share an example. I was speaking with an advisor recently who had hit a new level of success as it relates to AUM and revenue growth that he had never thought possible. He had built an amazing team who was supporting him and who was allowing him to really be free to work on those things that were in his zone of genius, that were most important to his business. And in building his business this way, this advisor was confident that when he had this open space, this blank time on his calendar, he called it CEO time, that he was going to be able to take that CEO time and use it to really take his business to a new level. But unfortunately, that CEO time got boring for him. He didn't know what to do. It wasn't the same as filling the time in with meetings with clients or prospective clients or COIs, or even working with his team as a team as a whole in team meetings, or working and coaching his individual team members. There was just this blank space of time that was designed for him to use for him, and he didn't know what to do with it. And it was frustrating him. But we sat back and we talked about what I call the 3 visions of growth. I pointed out that he had long past moved past vision 1 of growth, which is really just that first stage of building a business, reaching that first big milestone in your business as mostly as a producer or as an individual advisor, not usually from a team perspective. Maybe it's your first $1 million in revenue or your first $100 million in assets under management. The numbers don't matter, but if you look at your career, if you've been at this for a while, if you've had some success, you can look back and say, yep, I passed through vision number 1. And then you start working on vision number 2, which is, how do I run my practice more like a business? How do I move from just my practice being me and maybe one person or so that supports me and we work together in a haphazard way to really having a team that's working towards team goals, a new higher level of success in terms of the amount of business that you have and bring in and the assets that you manage, but also the way that you work together. So you are freeing up that leadership time, that CEO time. But when you get to that point where you have that time, you've got to be thinking about what is that next vision, or maybe even before you get to that time, what is that next vision? In the example that I was just sharing, the client that I was talking about wasn't done with Vision 2, but everything was in place to accomplish what they hoped to do in that second vision. So now the key for this advisor to get from feeling unstuck, from feeling like this extra time that he created for himself wasn't productive, wasn't healthy, wasn't keeping him happy and fulfilled and excited about his business, he needed to start thinking about vision number 3. What does that big, hairy, audacious goal of that business look like out into the future? And what could he as a CEO be working on that would ensure a path towards that crazy goal, that big vision, that big dream for his business? So in thinking about his time and what he was going to be doing, we had to talk about how he could spend that time. What could he be doing to create vision 3 for himself? We talked about things like future-proofing his business. What are things that he and his team haven't thought about as it relates to growing the business into the future that aren't included in vision number 2? One example was exploring the impact of AI on his business. Sure, he was aware of AI trends. His team were using some AI tools, but he really hadn't stopped to think, how will AI impact my business going forward, negatively and positively? Let me become, perhaps, the thought leader on my team for understanding what AI will do and bringing that into the third vision to take that business to that next level of success. We also talked about going and having CEO field trips where he could go and visit a handful of high-performing CEOs, not all inside of this industry, where he could do some brainstorming with them, just spending 2 or 3 hours with them talking about how they viewed their role as CEOs and how they spent their CEO time, their leadership time. We talked about doing some volunteer work. Oftentimes, we get so caught up thinking about what to do that our mind gets stuck, our brains get stuck, and we can't figure it out. But when we're doing something that is completely differentiated, like going out and volunteering, just getting our minds completely away from our business, the neuroscience has a way of helping us think about things. It's maybe like the idea that you get in the shower. So finding some time away from the business that would allow him to think about what does vision 3 really look like? What we settled on was to spend some time in an offsite with me as his coach, really spending time digging deeper into that third vision. After all, as you know from listening to this podcast, I have a framework that I call the Truest Fan Blueprint. And the biggest part of the blueprint is dreaming big. It's visioning, whether it's vision 1, vision 2, or vision 3. It's visioning. So that's what we decided to do. Spend some time away from the business, away from the office, really digging into what vision 3 should look like. This process can take a lot of different forms, but it is essential if you're serious about overcoming that gap. Not a gap of lack of performance, it's a gap of really being able to see what is possible, what's next, what you're really excited about in your business. If you want some ways to think about this right now, thinking about what I've talked about in this podcast, let me offer you a challenge. Ask yourself, what do I think leadership work is really supposed to look like? In other words, if you are the leader of your team or you see yourself getting into a position of being the leader of a team or of a business, what does a leader really do? A leader doesn't do what the leader did when he first started his business or in the business, as the case might be. Second, ask, what part of leadership really energizes you and what parts drain you? When you think about your time leading your team, looking out to the future, what is it that really excites you that you could do or that you have done that you like to do more of? And then what are those things that really drain you, take away from you, make you less present for your team, less of a leader, less valuable in everything that you do. We all have those things. Identify them, name them. And then, third, if you had take a blank page and sketch out Vision 3 for your life and for your business. Don't worry about getting it exactly right. Just start writing. Do it in a journal. Do it on a blank sheet of paper. Write it in any way that you want. Small bullet points. Put big circles on a page with big ideas that you want to work towards. But just write. Just keep writing. Don't edit yourself. Don't polish it. Just start naming it. That's how clarity begins to come. That's the clarity that might come from those activities that I talked about before, whether it's doing that charity work, doing those CEO visits, doing that future proofing, doing that off-site with a coach. But that's your challenge. If you're looking at your business and wondering, what's next? What's that next level of success? And you know it's not just hitting higher, bigger numbers. Create the vision. Create your Vision 3. And don't let anybody tell you that you can't do what you want to do. It's your vision. There's nobody that can hold you back from what you want to do if you are clear about where you are going and what you want to do. So that's it for this week. I appreciate your listening in. If you have an interest in talking about the process of creating your Vision 3, I encourage you, use the link below to schedule a purpose-focused scorecard session with me. It's not a sales pitch. It's not a coaching session. It's designed to help pull out from you greater clarity about who you are and what you're doing and where you want your business to go, to get you going in that right direction so you don't fall into those periods of time where you wonder, how am I supposed to be spending my time? You'll know you'll have a path forward. I'd love to talk to you. And as always, I'm rooting for your success.
Thanks for listening to The Purpose Focused Advisor. If today's episode gave you something to think about or a step you're ready to take, head over to truestfancoaching.com. There you'll find tools, resources, and ways we can work together to help you lead with purpose and build the business and life you were meant for. If you enjoyed the show, we'd be grateful if you take a moment to rate and review it. It helps more advisors find their way here.